Reborn Douluo, but found himself as Ma Hongjun. Is it lying flat with Tang San? Or do you work hard on your own? Also, what to do with evil fire? How difficult? Ma Hongjun said, with the system, why should he lie flat? As for the evil fire. With the system, the result is still evil fire. Wuwu Wuwu. Nodding City saw a rabbit, and Ma Hongjun gave his advice. Tang San's father knows you are a rabbit. Shrek saw the cat, and Ma Hongjun expressed his opinion. Dai Mubai is not worth your love. Keywords of the novel. Reborn Douluo Ma Hongjun, sign in Yaowei sister no pop-ups. Reborn Douluo Ma Hongjun, sign in Yaowei sister TXT complete collection download. Reborn Douluo Ma Hongjun, sign in Yaowei sister latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Becoming Ma Hongjun, I don't want to lie down and win. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 1. Becoming Ma Hongjun, I don't want to lie down and win. Douluo Continent, Barak Kingdom, in an unknown small village. A child with a round figure and fiery red hair is now lying in their yard sunbathing. But there was a sense of helplessness on his face. Oh, isn't it just a bit of universal love? As for that, the little boy sighed. He is not from this world. To be precise, he is a traveler. In the previous generation, the family was relatively wealthy, and under the arrangement of his father, they went on a blind date. The other person gave him a good feeling, and after a year of getting along, the two sides were ready to get married. On the day before getting married, his friend discovered his fiancée AE appearing at the hotel. Coincidentally, he has a female friend who is a fish farmer. After her persuasion. So, there was one less honest person in the world and one more fish farmer. Of course, he still has principles. Only after releasing this fish will we find the next one. But one day while browsing the mall, I don't know which ex-girlfriend and current girlfriend met, and while they were mocking each other, their best friend appeared. Unfortunately, they were childhood sweethearts who were in charge of the mall. Then the situation escalated, and as a high school desk mate, the police officer appeared. Persuasion was unsuccessful, and between pushing and shoving each other, he just crossed over like this. This also made him understand a truth that fish are not so easy to raise. Of course, maybe he's still the one being raised. Ah. It's really difficult. Thinking of this, the little boy's face showed a melancholic expression. But soon it turned into a bitter smile. Because these are all the truths he summarized after traveling. What surprised him was that he had arrived at Douluo Continent. This anime was once popular across the internet. He has certainly seen it too. Although I think it's just like that. But the girls inside are still pretty good. At first, he didn't know it was this world. But when I heard the martial soul, I understood. But when he knew his name, he was dumbfounded. Because his name is Ma Hongjun. Although his original name was Ma Jun, the difference in just one word is a world of difference. Alas, who do you think it's not good to travel through time? It must be Ma Hongjun, the little boy whispered. At the beginning, he still had a glimmer of luck, just repeating his name. But he learned that the martial souls in this village are all ordinary poultry. This made him confirm that it was probably Ma Hongjun. Although as Ma Hongjun, as long as he works harder according to his original trajectory, he can become the fire god, also known as the Lord God. In theory, you can lie flat, just wait for your martial soul to awaken, be taken away by Frand, enter Shrek Academy, sit and wait for Tang San, then row the water, and finally become a deity. But the key is that the martial soul of this product is very dangerous in the early stage. This is the real world. God knows if he will encounter Frand when he wakes up. If the evil fire had erupted before, wouldn't he have exploded and died? And even if it happens, with Frand's stingy nature, how advanced could the place I found for him be? He also has principles. It's not that he looks down on them, he still respects these dedicated people very much, it's just that their tastes are different. The most important point. He doesn't really like Tang San and Master. One wears colored eyes to see people, selfish, while the other is hypocritical and cowardly, self-righteous. It is said that there is a medicine elder in the endless fire domain, and there is no jade Xiaojiang in the divine realm. Although not comprehensive, there is still some truth to it. Another point is that if his martial soul doesn't mutate and is just an ordinary poultry like everyone else, then all of this is just a bubble. Expect Tang San to lead an ordinary person. Is it possible? If you weren't a genius, the goods probably wouldn't have looked at you. Just say old Jack, he was so good to Tang San in the early days, but he never appeared later. But although I don't like Master Tang San. But compared to the Martial Soul Hall, Shrek is still a bit better. Because Frand's teachings were very absurd, but at least he took care of the original Ma Hongjun. However, Ma Jun did not consider going to the Martial Soul Hall. Because Bibi Dong is simply a lunatic. Of course, they are all driven by scumbags. First is Qianshuan disease, and then Yu Xiaojiang. Being treated like that by two people, combined with the temptation of the Rakshasa god, it is normal for one to have mental disorders. But how to say it? Bibi Dong is also a bit unconventional. As the saint of the Martial Soul Hall, she directly turns against her teacher for the sake of a man seeking fame and reputation. Most importantly, this man is a hostile force. However, Chihiro's illness is also useless. There is no good way to do it, we must be strong. Ma Jun looks down on Qianlai the most. For such a long time, it's impossible to deal with a woman, but if Qianshuan's illness can be better than Dong's weight, this doesn't seem like a good question. Did you treat your fiancé A.E. poorly before? In the end, it's not just chicken and egg. Alas. No matter what world it is, people's hearts are treacherous. Ma Jun sighed. However, in the end, Ma Jun decided that if given the opportunity, he must save the girls in this world. This makes him so loving. But from then on, he was called Ma Hongjun. Of course, all the above situations have one condition, which is that he wants to awaken the mutated martial soul. If not, it is just his imagination. But there is a big problem troubling him right now. That is the problem of evil fire in the awakening of martial souls. If the martial soul really mutates, that's not a good thing. He didn't want to go find ice and fire Liangyi eyes. But the reality is that he is only 6 years old and is not familiar with this world at all. Even if he could reach the Imperial capital, he would find Dugubo. With that guy's venom, let alone immortal grass, I can't even save my life. Don't say you can treat him like Tang San. Not to mention that Ma Hongjun doesn't know, even if he does, he dares not. Did you almost die without seeing Tang San's strong background? If he were to say that, the only thing waiting for him would be death. Even if he didn't kill him, he would still become a mere white mouse. Besides, without Dugubo, he wouldn't have been able to reach the eyes of ice and fire. As for telling others, Ma Hongjun said he hasn't lived enough yet, and that no major force in Douluo continent is standing on top of a pile of bones. Are you really giving away the titles of the top 3 sects and the bottom 4 sections? That is a tangible achievement, achieved through bloody battles between various sects. Even when Gu Douluo saw Tang San for the first time, his thoughts were not about wooing him, but about assassination, which shows how dark the world is in reality. In short, this world is definitely not as good as imagined, only strength is the foundation to ensure all of this. It seems that we can only pray that Frand will arrive, or that we will not awaken our martial soul, Ma Hongjun whispered. It's just that Ma Hongjun has finally arrived in this world and hasn't even seen the little sister outside. He's really a bit unwilling. Then he heard footsteps coming from outside the door, and the little boy put away his helpless expression on his face, looking out the door. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Place of birth check-in. Imperial Sister Erin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Place of Birth Check-in. Imperial Sister Erin. Red June, a week from now will be the day when your martial soul awakens. Don't forget then, said an elderly voice. Got it, Grandpa Sith, Ma Hongjun immediately replied. Upon hearing the little boy's affirmative answer, Sith nodded in satisfaction and said, Hongjun, don't be nervous then. By the way, come to my house for dinner tonight. I have to go notify the others now, so I'll leave first. Sith didn't stop, but just left without giving Ma Hongjun a chance to speak. Sith's full name is Maxis, and he is the village chief who takes good care of him in his daily life. And now I'm afraid he'll refuse before leaving. Because he has no family, if it weren't for the cheap money left by his parents in this lifetime, he would probably have starved to death long ago. And his parents were gone 2 years ago when they were bandits in the village. Fortunately, the villagers in the village were honest and all supported him, otherwise he would have been very uncomfortable in the past 2 years. Is it just about to awaken the martial soul? To be honest, Ma Hongjun is a bit nervous. As mentioned earlier, if the martial soul does not mutate, or if it awakens, the evil fire will erupt. Frand didn't come. Ma Hongjun was a bit hesitant to imagine that situation. He's only 6 years old. If the evil fire breaks out, it is difficult to accept whether it can be resolved or not. So he is really hesitating at this moment. Should I hand over my life to fate? This is a difficult decision. Ah! If only I had a system myself, Ma Hongjun sighed. Which other interloper is either the system or the grandpa at the beginning? Why is there nothing here? Ma Hongjun felt a bit uncomfortable at the thought. However, it seems that becoming Ma Hongjun is already a form of cheating. Detected that the host is about to awaken their martial soul and sign into the system binding. Ma Hongjun was stunned and immediately showed a look of ecstasy. After all, the heavens still favor themselves. It seems that like most travelers, certain conditions are required to activate the system. For example, I guess it's because it's time to awaken my martial soul. And the check.in system can be said to be the best among all systems. As long as you sign in, you can receive rewards without thinking. It's simply a must-have good system for time travel. In system binding, 70%, 80%, 90%, and 99%. Ma Hongjun's mood also became excited. But the next moment it was discovered that something was wrong. Because the progress bar doesn't move at all. Ma Hongjun suddenly became anxious. What's going on? I just want to rely on the system to reach the peak and bring warmth to the ladies in this world, why don't I move? System, what's going on? Ma Jun quickly asked. There was an issue with the system loading, which was affected by unknown forces. It is currently being fixed. Please be patient, host. The system's voice came in. Ma Jun is very anxious at the moment, but there seems to be nothing he can do. Fortunately, after a quarter of an hour has passed. System. Unknown issue fixed. The check.in system has been loaded and the new check.in location has been refreshed. Please sign in at Majia village. It has been detected that the host has arrived at the check.in location at Majia village. Do you want to sign in now? Upon hearing these words, Ma Hongjun was immediately overjoyed. As long as it is fixed, there is no problem, and the Ma family village mentioned by the system is the village where he is located. Sign in, Ma Hongjun said directly. System. Congratulations to the host for successfully signing in and obtaining the Ekonorokia soul, Scarlet Despair. Erin's remnant soul, a Millennium Earth Dragon soul ring, a space ring, and 1,000 gold soul coins. The rewards have been distributed and stored in the system space. Please investigate on your own. Ma Hongjun was stunned when he heard these rewards. Ekonorokia soul. Eileen's residual soul. Millennium Earth Dragon soul ring. Space ring. Compared to the first four, 1,000 gold soul coins are nothing at all. Compared to the first two, the latter two are nothing. Thinking of the first two rewards, Ma Hongjun had a picture in his mind. The black wings have strange patterns, and he transforms into a man who bathes in dragon blood and becomes a dragon in order to destroy the dragon. This is Akunarokia, known as the Dragon of the End, the source of evil, and the absolute sealing character in the tale of fairies. The existence that can even devour time and space is incredibly strong. Even in the end, the magic of the entire continent only sealed his body and could not be destroyed. As for the soul, it's just a plot kill. Although I don't know who is stronger than the gods in this world. But in terms of the existence of extreme Douluo, it is not worth mentioning in front of Akunarokia. Maybe even the defense cannot be broken. The turbulence of time and space can sweep away the divine realm, but the black dragon is an existence that can devour time and space. Although it may not be a level of spatio-temporal turbulence, it also demonstrates the power of the black dragon. I didn't expect to obtain Akunarokia as a martial soul. Ma Hongjun is really excited. But what excites him the most is Eileen's remaining soul. Irene. Scarlet Despair, Scarlet Heavenly Maiden. Ma Hongjun's favorite villain character. Powerful, proud, with a dark belly, and most importantly, an angelic appearance, devilish figure, and a love for TikTok. In one word, sister, you compete high. Ma Jun exclaimed directly. Hongjun, are you okay? The neighbor's concerned voice came from next door. Ma Hongjun's cry came to a sudden halt. Uncle Black, I'm fine, he said awkwardly, it's okay, but what's your name, kid? The middle-aged man's voice rang out again. No, Ma Hongjun was at a loss for words. Forget it, just come over for dinner tonight if it's okay, said Uncle Black. Ma Hongjun felt warmth in his heart. No, Uncle Black, Grandpa Sith called me, Ma Hongjun said. Oh, village chief. Forget it, I'm out now, said Uncle Black again. Ma Hongjun agreed. Then he heard the sound of the door closing in the neighboring yard. Ma Hongjun gradually calmed down. But considering the reward for this check that he couldn't help but be excited. But soon I thought of the system's explanation. Eileen's residual soul. So he directly asked, System, what does residual soul mean? System. The system is collecting Eileen from before the soul dissipated, so it is in a residual state and is currently sleeping. Ma Hongjun suddenly felt a bit disappointed. It seems that my idea of seeing Eileen soon fell through. This also made Ma Hongjun completely sober up. So he asked again, what is the mechanism for system check.in? System. The system's check.in mechanism is divided into 5 types. Weekly, monthly, annual, 10-year, and location-based. The longer the time, the richer the check.in reward. The location-based reward is random, but it is highly likely to be related to the check.in location. Ma Hongjun's eyebrows and eyes suddenly widened with a smile. Just before I could be happy, the system reminded me again, due to an accident during binding, the weekly signature is currently unavailable. Additionally, I reminded the host that the martial soul light ball must be used within 1 hour after signing in, otherwise it will disappear. Print the contract today. Everyone can watch with confidence, and after changing the status, it will be updated twice a day. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Fraud. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Fraud. Ma Hongjun suddenly became foolish. Do you still have this statement? So he immediately asked for the reason. But the system simply ignored him. System, use the martial soul light ball, Ma Hongjun tentatively said. Later, Ma Hongjun discovered that the martial soul light ball in the system space was missing. But Ma Hongjun had no feeling at all. Do we need to awaken in order to make any changes? Ma Hongjun muttered. It seems that this system is just a program and won't answer any unnecessary questions. Then he didn't think much. Although there was no sign in to find a solution to the evil fire. But it's also surprising enough. As for the remaining soul of Erin. In a sense, Eileen should not be considered a human, but a complete dragon. Thinking of this, Ma Hongjun already had an idea. Then he directly took out the space ring and put it on his hand. In the ring, there are 1,000 gold soul coins obtained by signing in. For him now, this is a huge sum of money. I'm going to Grandpa Sith's house tonight. Since Ma Hongjun has money, he naturally won't go empty-handed. The next step is to wait for the awakening of the martial soul. Due to the system, Ma Hongjun still chose to become a soul master. Because he has an idea, what if his martial soul doesn't mutate? This is the real world, anything can happen, and besides, the black dragon soul also needs to awaken. What is ultimately needed is that even if the evil fire phoenix awakens now, he is not empty. Because he has money, even if Frand doesn't come, he can still find a way. Although I can't accept it psychologically, it's better than exploding and dying. Sure enough, in that world, with money, some things are much easier to do. With such thoughts in mind, he went to the nearest market to buy several pounds of meat, brought a few bottles of wine, and then walked towards the village chief's house. Time flies by quickly. Half a month passed by in a flash. And today is the day when the people of the Martial Soul Hall come to awaken. Red June, don't be nervous later. Whatever the adults in the Martial Soul Hall say, you can do it. If you can become a soul master, you can become a master, and the whole village will be happy because of you, said Sith. Ma Hongjun's nose was a bit sore upon hearing this. This reminds him of his parents. Parents from both worlds have thought of it. Grandpa Sith, I also want to become a soul master, said a little boy. Sith laughed at the words. Then he said, okay, you will all become soul masters. Although he knew it was probably impossible, encouragement was still needed. The greater your encouragement towards them now, the greater their disappointment is likely to be. A middle-aged man's voice rang out. Then all three of them turned their heads to look. Ma Hongjun's eyes froze. Because the image of the newcomer is very similar to the person he knows. Tall and thin, with a hooked nose and glasses on. And the sound of the system also sounded, allowing him to completely determine the identity of the person in front of him. System. The new check.in location has been refreshed. Please check in at Shrek College. Since it was Shrek's check.in, combined with the image, location, characters, and events of the person in front of us, they basically match. The person in front of me is definitely Frand. To be honest, Ma Hongjun is not so eager to see Frand at this moment. Because he can solve the problem of evil fire himself. Although there may be danger, at least unlike before, there is no way. Ma Hongjun and another little boy didn't speak. Sith smiled bitterly and said, I was just encouraging them. I know it's difficult to become a soul master, by the way, are you? Sir, my name is Frand and I am a soul master. I just passed by your village and heard your words just now, which made me deeply moved, Frand said. The village chief was suddenly surprised, not realizing that the person in front of him was a soul master. So he respectfully said, it turns out to be the respected soul master. Your Highness, you're laughing. Ma Hongjun also felt for the first time the respect of ordinary people towards soul masters in this world. He could clearly feel that the village chief was still a bit dissatisfied at first, but when he heard that the other party was a soul master, his attitude changed drastically. Even the little boy is the same. It's okay, just a little emotional. Soul masters are not easy to achieve, said Frand. Yeah. In our village, basically ordinary poultry martial souls have never produced soul masters, said Sith. Sith always feels regretful about this matter. Grandpa Sith, there will be a soul master this time, Ma Hongjun felt Sith's regret and said directly. Sith laughed at the words. Right, think for the good, maybe it will happen this time, said Sith 1-1. And Frand's attention also shifted to Ma Hongjun. Actually, he noticed this chubby little guy just now. Because he didn't feel the respect that ordinary people have for soul masters from the other person. Why are you so certain that a soul master will appear? Frand asked with great interest. Ma Hongjun glanced at him and then said, I just have a premonition. A premonition. Frand was taken aback, then smiled. Although he was a bit skeptical in his heart, it cannot be denied that he had some interest in the little chubby guy in front of him. Kid, what's your name? Soul masters are not easy to appear, said Frand again. My name is Ma Hongjun, Master Soul. Since you don't believe me, how about we make a bet? Ma Hongjun said. Frand was taken aback by the words and didn't know what to say for a moment. Bet him. The child in front of me is very bold. We all know he's a soul master, and we dare to talk to him like this. If we have a good talent, we may not be able to achieve something. This courage is extraordinary. Sith was a bit surprised. What is in front of him is Master Soul. If Master Soul is displeased, Ma Hongjun may be in danger. And Frand can be said to be the kindest soul master he has ever seen. Dear soul master, children are not sensible. Don't argue with them, said Sith quickly. After speaking, he turned his head to look at Ma Hongjun. Red June, apologize to Lord Soul Master quickly, said Sith directly. Ma Hongjun glanced at Sith and saw a hint of anxiety in his eyes, feeling a bit regretful. He actually knows the identity of the person in front of him, but Grandpa Sith doesn't know. It seems that I have underestimated the deterrent power of soul masters over ordinary people in this world. But it also reflects a reality that soul masters are almost always superior. Perhaps soul masters like Frand are already very good to Grandpa Sith. And Ma Hongjun comes from a great country, although not absolutely fair, he is also very good, so his mentality may not have changed yet. Ma Hongjun thought of this and just wanted to come forward and explain it. But Frand's voice rang out again. Your name is Ma Hongjun, right? How are you going to bet? Ma Hongjun was taken aback. Frand actually agreed. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Frand is hooked. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Frand is hooked. Sith was also surprised. In his opinion, Frand must have been angry. So he bent forward and saluted directly. Master Soul Master, Hongjun is just a child, so don't argue with him, said Sith. Then he looked at Ma Hongjun. Red June, apologize quickly, said Sith. It's okay, sir. I'm just curious. It's not impossible to gamble with this little guy. I want to listen. What are you gambling with me? Frand said directly. The last sentence was spoken to Ma Hongjun. Sith was stunned. So he looked at Ma Hongjun. The meaning in the eyes is also self-evident. Just tell Ma Hongjun not to speak recklessly. However, Ma Hongjun was not very afraid because he knew the identity of the person in front of him. Of course, if someone else came, he would never be so reckless. So he said directly, respected Soul Master, didn't you say it's difficult for us to become Soul Masters? What I want to gamble with you is that some of us can become Soul Masters. Frand was momentarily taken aback and then smiled. You should know that becoming a Soul Master is not easy. I have passed through at least a dozen villages along the way, but none of them have awakened a good martial soul. My innate soul power is also pitiful, and it is impossible to become a soul master, said Frand. Then the topic changed and said, and it seems like you don't have anything to gamble with me. Betting naturally has a bet, but you don't have much. Although I don't know if you can become a soul master, it seems like you can't see yourself clearly now. Speaking of which, Frand looked at Ma Hongjun. He wanted to see what else the child in front of him could say. He just wants the child in front of him to know that not all soul masters in this world are like him. So his words just now didn't sound very pleasant. "Dear soul master, are you afraid to gamble anymore?" said Ma Hongjun. Frand was taken aback, then a little angry. The chubby little man in front of him spoke with respect, but he didn't hear any respect in his words. Okay, kid, how are you going to bet? Don't blame me for not reminding you. If you can't make a decent bet, I won't bet either. Also, if you lose, don't blame me for teaching you a lesson, said Frand. Just now, the village chief said that the martial souls of this village have been poultry for generations. That kid in front of me is probably the same. According to Xiao Gang's theory, there are basically no other martial souls appearing in such a village. Unless it is a mutation. But the probability of soul mutation is the same as when he encounters the title Douluo now. The probability can be so small that it is negligible. Another point is that he gambled with the boy to become a soul master. Even if the martial soul really mutates, the chance of mutating in a positive direction is very small. Basically, he won. He really wants to see what the chubby little guy in front of him says. And Sith was greatly anxious upon hearing this. Hongjun, what are you talking about? Sith scolded. Grandpa, don't you believe that we can become soul masters? Ma Hongjun said. Sith language barrier. Upon seeing this, Ma Hongjun immediately turned his head and said to Frand, if I win, the respected soul master will promise me a condition. If I lose, I will let the soul master handle it. If you can't wake up, you're just a child, let me handle it. Don't you think it's ridiculous? Frand sneered. Ma Hongjun seemed stunned at the words. Finally, hesitantly, he said, Sir, I still have one more gold soul coin. Ma Hongjun spoke with great righteousness before, but the last sentence revealed a painful expression. I gave Frand the illusion that you can dispose of me as you please, but money is like my life. At this moment, Frand finally felt that the chubby little man in front of him was a child. A golden soul coin may not be much to him, but for the little boy in front of him, it is probably very important. Thinking of this, Frand's lips curved into a smile. Okay, I agree, said Frand. Just give this kid a lesson that interests him. At that time, you can skip the golden soul coin, but it will definitely leave a deep impression on this kid. Traveling for so long, it's the first time I've met such an interesting person. Just a little reminder would be a good thing. Hongjun, aren't you just playing around, said Sith. A golden soul coin is enough for a family of 3 to live for more than half a month. Besides making a bet with Master Soul, isn't it disrespectful of longevity? So Sith is really in a hurry at this moment. Grandpa Sith, it's okay. I have a premonition that we will win, said Ma Hongjun. Sith couldn't listen. Kid, if you don't go yet, you'll probably miss it. If that's the case, even if I win, your coins will be mine, Frand reminded. Sith's face changed when he heard the words. After this incident, it was indeed delayed for a long time. Thank you, Master Soul, for reminding us. Hongjun, let's hurry and leave. Why are you so confused? Sith said directly. Immediately, Ma Hongjun and the other two accelerated their steps. And Ma Hongjun's face also showed a worried expression. But inside, there was some joy. Frand really agreed. This was something Ma Hongjun didn't expect. Originally, Ma Hongjun was still thinking about his own development. But the moment I saw Frand, I changed my mind. This world is ultimately too dangerous. It's really difficult for him to rely on himself. In this situation, it is necessary to find a bodyguard, and Frand's strength is sufficient. Although it may not be enough to compare, it is more than enough to compare. But Ma Hongjun doesn't want to become a teacher. If he were a little sister, he could consider having a long-lasting teacher-student relationship. Besides, as a teacher, he carried one with him and just fell into a deep sleep. As a teacher, Sister Irene is no more fragrant than Fran. Although he didn't know what Big Sister Irene thought, it didn't hinder his expectations. The next checked in location is Shrek, which is why Ma Hongjun did it. Although Frand is very stingy and has some peculiar ideas, he is a good person. I should be able to fulfill my promises to the end. After all, this is a ruthless person who can even firmly give up his beloved woman to his brothers. Thinking of this, Ma Hongjun actually feels a bit strange. How did the master manage to win the hearts of two such excellent women? Throughout Douluo, masters are unique. That's all, Ma Hongjun still admires it. However, admiration does not necessarily mean agreement. In Ma Hongjun's view, teasing without protecting is scumbag, while protecting without being able is useless. Obviously, the master is both useless and scumbag. Of course, Ma Hongjun will not admit that he envies the master, absolutely not. Ah, if only both of them liked me. I'm definitely not scumbag. Thinking of this, Ma Hongjun felt a bit melancholic. So good two big sisters, why are they so foolish? Be sure to wake them up when there is a chance. Ma Hongjun suddenly felt a sense of mission. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Martial Soul Awakening. Grass Chicken Phoenix. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Martial Soul Awakening. Grass Chicken Phoenix and Frand happened to see Ma Hongjun's expression. Kid, regret it. Frand thought to himself. In his opinion, this kid is definitely regretful, and what he wants is this little chubby guy to regret. Although I don't even know how to compete with this chubby little guy, even Frand. Due to the delay, Ma Hongjun and his companions left in a hurry. Fortunately, they were not far from the place where the Martial Soul Hall was responsible for awakening the village just now. In less than 5 minutes, a few people arrived directly at the place. Although it delayed a certain amount of time, fortunately the awakening ceremony did not begin. There are already several people here. Most of them are children from the village. Ma Hongjun basically knows everyone. They are mostly sent by adults. But because they had to go to work, all the adults left. But they know that the village chief will arrange it. Moreover, this place is very close to the village, so there is naturally nothing to worry about. The person in charge of awakening in the Martial Soul Hall is a young man. Although Ma Hongjun and his companions arrived not too late, it is obvious that this Soul Master is also very unhappy. So when he saw the village chief, he showed a hint of impatience. Why are you only here now? Does your village not want to awaken? It's really troublesome. I have to go to the remaining few villages. I don't know what the adults think. How could a Soul Master be born in a small place like yours? It's a waste of time, said the Soul Master of the Martial Soul Hall. Ma Hongjun frowned at the words. Is this the quality of the Soul Master in the Martial Soul Hall? It's a bit far from the Holy Soul Village, isn't it? Although Sith felt uncomfortable upon hearing these words, he immediately apologized and said, Dear Soul Master, we encountered something on the way, which caused some delay and trouble for you. Ma Hongjun felt a bit uncomfortable in his heart, but he knew that this was the rule of the world. Upon hearing this, the awakened Soul Master said, All right, come on, don't explain to me. I'm too lazy to listen and ask them to stand up quickly. I have to go to the next village, and time is tight. I knew I wouldn't take on this task. If it weren't for that guy's business, how would I have come? Ma Hongjun also had a guess upon hearing this. The Soul Master in front of me is probably from a small family or something. Coming here is just for gilding, there is someone else who truly awakens them. No wonder such arrogance. Generally speaking, those who awaken these civilians are civilian Soul Masters. In this situation, the attitude is naturally much better. Sith quickly thanked upon hearing the words. Then, in the impatient gaze of the awakening Soul Master, he gestured for Ma Hongjun and others to enter the awakening room. Wait for everyone to stand still. He directly took out the props needed for awakening that he carried with him. There are some soul power crystals and soul power detection balls, starting to be arranged. Wait until everything is ready. He pointed directly at the child at the front and said, "Come here, stand inside." The child who was called in was somewhat reserved. Perhaps because this soul master's attitude is indeed not good. "So I'm very scared." "What are you afraid of?" "Hurry up, don't waste my time," the awakened soul master said directly. The child became even more afraid at the words, but still walked up. The awakening soul master didn't talk nonsense and directly said, "Martial soul possessed." As his voice fell, Ma Hongjun discovered a leopard-like martial soul behind him, and his entire body was also approaching that of a leopard. 2 yellow soul rings rise. So there are 200-year soul rings, no wonder they are so arrogant, Ma Hongjun thought. There are not many soul masters in this world who have perfect soul ring configurations. As he operated, the child froze. "Extend your right hand," the man said directly. The little boy immediately extended his right hand. Ma Hongjun could see that a chicken gradually appeared in the little boy's palm. Seeing the appearance of the martial soul, the man calmly said, "Your martial soul is a poultry chicken, a very ordinary martial soul." Then he handed the crystal ball over. "Put your hand up," the man ordered again. The little boy followed suit. After putting it on, there was no response. "All right, as expected, you don't have talent. You can go now, next one," the man said directly. The little boy had a strong expression of disappointment on his face. The next few people are basically ordinary poultry. As for soul power, there is almost no soul power. This situation also makes the awakened soul master's mood worse. Next, it's Ma Hongjun. Like the little boy before, his attitude was equally bad. But Ma Hongjun ignored it. After Ma Hongjun stands up, he unleashed his soul power with both hands. Ma Hongjun instantly felt a warm energy enter his body, and then he extended his right hand without waiting for the other person to speak. A strong flame aura appeared. The soul master, who was originally extremely impatient, instantly widened his eyes. When awakened, having such a majestic presence indicates that the person in front of them has a strong martial soul. Did he encounter a genius? And outside the room, Frand also sensed this fluctuation and was momentarily stunned. Compared to the awakened soul master, he can better feel the strength of Ma Hongjun's martial soul. I just don't know if it's his illusion. He also felt another breath, one that made him shudder. But it flashed by in a flash. He immediately walked into the room. I immediately saw Ma Hongjun who was awakening. Then he was taken aback. How could this chubby guy have such a powerful martial soul? Are you going to lose yourself? Subsequently, both of them focused on Ma Hongjun's martial soul, but they were dumbfounded. Because Ma Hongjun's martial soul is a chicken, but his whole body is hairless. Ugly to death. Ma Hongjun is also a bit awkward because his martial soul is really a bit unsightly. The previous few people, although their martial souls were not very good, were at least normal chickens. He couldn't bear to look directly at them. And at the moment Frand saw it, a word flashed through his mind. Martial soul mutation. The martial soul of the chubby little man in front of me has really mutated. What they didn't notice was that there was a small dragon in Ma Hongjun's left hand. I thought it was some powerful martial soul, just a grassy chicken, so ugly, said the soul master in charge of awakening, with a disdainful expression on his face. Ma Hongjun suddenly became angry. He finally understood why Ma Hongjun got angry when others said his martial soul was a chicken. Because it's really unpleasant to hear. This is not a chicken, it's a phoenix, Ma Hongjun said directly. Is that all? Are you trying to laugh me to death, Phoenix? The man burst into laughter. Perhaps I saw Ma Hongjun's defiant gaze. The man said disdainfully, "Garbage is garbage, and there won't be any geniuses in such a small place. Clay figurines have 3 parts of their fiery energy, let alone Ma Hongjun. Who is garbage talking about?" "Of course it's about you, don't you agree?" the man said directly. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. I'm at a disadvantage, take you as my disciple. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. I'm at a disadvantage, take you as my disciple. Upon hearing this, Ma Hongjun smiled. "Yes, trash says me," Ma Hongjun said. The man's face suddenly froze, and he looked back at the chubby little man in front of him. Anger suddenly surged. "Kid, are you looking for death?" The awakening soul master said instantly. This time, Ma Hongjun just sneered at this second ring soul master. "Although I feel a bit uneasy in my heart, since it's already like this, there's nothing to be afraid of. The person in front of me is really mouth-watering." Ma Hongjun can't bear it anymore. Seeing Ma Hongjun sneer, the soul master responsible for awakening couldn't hold his breath anymore. Then he directly attacked Ma Hongjun. Ma Hongjun's face changed. At such a close distance, he couldn't escape at all. In this situation, he can only instinctively raise his hand to block. At the same time, I feel a bit scared in my heart. But in the end, it was discovered that I had not been hit at all. "Kid, open your eyes. Seeing how eloquent you are, I thought you had some skills. After all this trouble, you still want me to take action." Frand's voice came in. Ma Hongjun suddenly understood that he had been saved by Frand. This also made him realize once again that this is a world of the jungle. If it weren't for his martial soul just now, Frand probably wouldn't have taken action. "Who are you?" The soul master who was stopped changed his face greatly. Because he could feel the powerful force from Frand's hands. "It doesn't matter who I am, what's important is that as a soul master, it's probably not good for you to take action against a child," said Frand. "You just heard me, this kid insulted me," the man said directly. "On the contrary, what I heard was that you insulted him," said Frand directly. The man's face turned angry. "Do you know who I am? There is a soul king in my family, and it's not beneficial for you to meddle like this. Besides, I'm from the Martial Soul Hall," the man said. "Oh. Is that right? I don't know how powerful the Soul King in your family is. And if the Martial Soul Hall knew that you behaved like this when awakening the common people, I don't know if it would punish you," said Frand directly. The man looked at Frand with a silly gaze. But soon, he grew his mouth. Because Frand released his martial soul. An owl appeared in an instant. Along with it, there is also a strong sense of soul power oppression. Soul rings also appeared one by one. Yellow yellow purple purple black black black. There are a total of 7 soul rings lingering around Frand's body. Soul Saint. Are you actually a soul saint? How could a strong person of your level appear in such a place? The man froze. Frand had no intention of talking nonsense to him. "Get out of here, your soul king won't scare me yet," said Frand directly. Then he turned his head to look at Ma Hongjun, wanting to see what expression this chubby little guy had on his face. If I knew he was the soul saint, I guess this kid was also scared. But what he saw was Ma Hongjun's thoughtful expression. He suddenly felt speechless. Is this kid so calm? Frand suddenly lost interest. "Yes, Lord Soul Saint," the man spoke out. "Wait," Ma Hongjun shouted out loud. The Soul Master's figure paused before looking at Ma Hongjun. "Take your things away," Ma Hongjun said directly. But the man looked at Frand. "Take it away. Remember, be good to the awakened child, otherwise I'll go back to the Martial Soul Hall to find you," said Frand. The man nodded busily. "In my heart," I said, "whoever comes again in the future will be my grandson." Frand naturally didn't know what he was thinking. The man was about to leave, but Frand said again, "Wait." The man was almost crying when he heard this. "What the hell is going on?" "This kid should test his soul power level," said Frand. The man immediately looked at Ma Hongjun. Ma Hongjun has no objections, he also wants to know his soul power level. The man dared not neglect and directly pulled out the soul power test ball. "Kid, put your hand up there," Frand said directly. Ma Hongjun didn't hesitate and directly put his hand on it. Then the crystal ball lit up directly. Frand's eyes suddenly lit up. "Innate soul power level 8, very good innate soul power," said Frand directly. And that man, on the other hand, grew his mouth because when he awakened, he was only at level 4 of innate soul power. In this way, he is also known as a genius. I didn't expect the little chubby guy in front of me to be level 8. However, thinking of Ma Hongjun's ugly grassy chicken martial soul, he still felt a bit disdainful in his heart, and he knew that due to his own relationship, the chubby little man in front of him would not join the martial soul hall, and he would not benefit from it. But only he knows whether it's sour or not. "Alright, you can go now," Frand said directly. The man just left directly. He definitely doesn't want to stay in this place. When the soul master of the martial soul hall left, Frand turned his head again to look at Ma Hongjun. There was a strange light in his eyes. "Kid, I lost, but I have a suggestion." "What do you think?" said Frand. Upon hearing this, Ma Hongjun immediately reacted from his contemplation. He was just thinking, why is his innate soul power only at level 8? In the original trajectory, wasn't Ma Hongjun born with full soul power? Why did he reach level 8 here? However, he also had preliminary speculations. At this moment, Frand's words interrupted his thinking. "What proposal?" Ma Hongjun asked. "Didn't I lose? I'll suffer a bit. How about taking you as my disciple? Although your innate soul power is a bit weak, your martial soul strength is still good, and I'm barely qualified to be my disciple." Frand said, "Looking cheap on you." Ma Hongjun was speechless. This guy really speaks his mind. However, considering this guy's philosophy, it seems that his innate soul power level is indeed a bit low. It is impossible to become a teacher, and it is impossible to become a teacher in this lifetime. Unless the teacher is a little sister. But obviously Frand is not. If it were Lu Erlong, Ma Hongjun could consider it. Just like Bibi Dong. Ma Hongjun believes that Lu Erlong is also a big sister who needs to be enlightened. "You said she's old enough to be a mother." Wrong, it's here with Ma Hongjun. There is only a distinction between one's own mother and older sister. "No," Ma Hongjun said directly. Frand was dumbfounded at the words. He didn't expect the chubby little man in front of him to be ungrateful. The innate soul power level 8 is indeed good, but it is not the disciple he wants to accept. He only wanted to do this because he looked at the boy's eyes, his martial soul had mutated, and he had lost his bet for various reasons. But this kid seems ungrateful. "Kid, you know I'm a soul saint," Frand said directly. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Refuse Frand. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Refuse Frand. "I know." Ma Hongjun said. Frand laughed at the words. "I'm afraid this kid doesn't know what level of strength Soul Saint is, right? Do you know what Soul Saint represents?" Frand asked directly. "I know, isn't he just a strong person?" Ma Hongjun said directly. Frand was speechless for a moment. Then he continued, "Do you know how many people want to worship me as a teacher? And how many benefits can you gain after worshipping me as a teacher? You can receive my protection, and you can also learn and practice with me. There are various benefits, among others. Kid, I will give you another chance to worship me as a teacher." "I refuse," Ma Hongjun said again. Frand is really dumbfounded this time. He suspected that this kid might have a hole in his head. So why don't you want to learn from me? Asked Frand curiously. Sir, you have already said that you lost. Why should I worship you as my teacher? Ma Hongjun said directly. Frand's expression froze at the words. Don't say it, it seems like this is really the case. Kid, what if I don't keep my promise? Said Frand. You won't break your promise, Ma Hongjun said again. Frand suddenly felt surprised. How do you know that I will keep my promise? Feeling, Ma Hongjun said again. Frand felt a little crazy upon hearing this, and it was the same feeling. When I gambled with him before, I also talked about my feelings. I still talk about my feelings now. How can there be so many feelings? However, this reason also left Frand completely speechless. But he is too lazy to entangle himself with this kid about this matter. So he said directly, what are your requirements? Just tell me. Ma Hongjun smiled at the words and knew it would be like this. Although Frand may be stingy at times, he is still a good person. So Ma Hongjun said directly, I want you to teach me how to learn and become my bodyguard. Frand was taken aback for a moment and then said disdainfully, Kid, do you really dare to think and speak? But you have a personality, okay, I agree. If you dare to come with me, I will teach you, and I can also protect you. But the premise is that you want to come with me. Ma Hongjun immediately showed a puzzled expression and asked, let's go, isn't it here? Frand suddenly showed a smile and continued, I'm just out on a trip and won't stay here for long. I'm ready to go back now, and learning a soul master is a long-term process. I can't teach you everything in a short period of time, so if you want me to fulfill it, then come with me. Frand's heart, however, said, little sample, in the end, you don't want to come with me. Ma Hongjun showed a timely expression of hesitation, making Frand think he didn't want to go with him. In fact, my heart is waiting for this sentence. No need to apprentice, and then follow him to Shrek Academy, so he will be much safer. As for the next step of cultivation, it will still be carried out in Shrek. But Ma Hongjun also knows that he won't stay in Shrek all the time because the check.in system has a location for signing. He needs to go out for check.in, but using Shrek as a base is considered good. And in the world of Douluo, if you want to meet a little sister, Shrek is a good choice, like kittens and Ning Rongrong, aren't they all met only in Shrek? Seeing Ma Hongjun's appearance, Frand smiled. Want him to teach, isn't it not impossible? Then we must go with him. So, kid, have you considered it yet? Frand asked again. Ma Hongjun seemed hesitant before finally making up his mind. Okay, I'll come with you, Ma Hongjun said. Frand suddenly showed a successful smile. What he didn't know was that Ma Hongjun's heart was also like him, showing a successful smile. And at this moment, Sith walked in because he had been waiting outside for a long time and had already sent the other children back. Ma Hongjun hasn't come out yet. In addition, the Soul Master's face was not very good just now. So he was a bit worried, and now he just wanted to see what he was doing, that's why he came in. Because of his fear of Frand, the Soul Master just now ignored his question. So he also doesn't know what the situation is. Seeing Sith come in, Ma Hongjun's face showed a smile. Immediately said, Grandpa Sith, I succeeded. Sith's face was taken aback. Did you succeed? What was successful? Grandpa Sith, my martial soul is very strong and my soul power level is also very high. I can become a soul master, Ma Hongjun said directly. Sith was stunned. Really? He quickly asked Ma Hongjun. Ma Hongjun immediately said, of course it's true, Grandpa Sith. Can I still deceive you? If you don't believe it, you can ask this soul master. Sith's face suddenly showed a look of ecstasy. But he still looked towards Frand. Frand smiled and said, this kid has a decent martial soul and can become a soul master. I bet I'll lose. The joy on Sith's face did not diminish. But upon hearing Frand talk about gambling, he immediately said, Master Soul, that's just a joke from Hongjun. Don't take it seriously. Frand said, Old man, that's a promise between soul masters. If this kid can become a soul master, then I'll lose. Of course, I won't break my promise. However, his request is for me to teach him and protect him, but I can't stay here long, so he needs to leave with me. Where are this kid's parents? I want to see them. Sith was shocked by this news. But soon he looked at Frand in confusion. No matter how you listen to the Flemish dialect, it feels a bit off. Is it really safe for Hongjun to leave with him? He had to think in this way. Seeing the expression on Sith's face, Frand didn't even know what his concerns were, so he said, Firstly, this kid is willing to come with me. Secondly, I am actually the dean of a college, and this time I'm just out on a trip. Seeing that this kid has decent talent, that's why I have a heart for cherishing talent. Weston recognized Frand's meaning and quickly apologized, Master Soul, I didn't mean that. Okay, I got it. Frand waved his hand. After Frand's background is clear. Sith said again, Master Soul, to be honest with you, Hongjun's parents were persecuted by bandits 2 years ago, so he is now just one person. Frand's expression suddenly froze. Immediately, he looked at Ma Hongjun with an expressionless face next to him. So this kid is an orphan. So he said directly, Old man, don't worry, this kid comes with me. I won't treat him unfairly. His talent is really good. He will definitely become a soul master in the future. Upon hearing this, Sith was overjoyed and then said, Hongjun, why don't you quickly thank Lord Soul Master? End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Shrek Check-In. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8 Shrek Check-In. Ma Hongjun glanced at Frand. Finally, he said, Thank you very much, Master Soul. Upon hearing these words, Frand immediately showed a satisfied smile. Then pack up and come with me. Frand said at the end. Ma Hongjun also has no objections. But there's no need to tidy up, because there isn't really much to tidy up. However, Ma Hongjun still went back to take a look. After all, it's my home that I've lived in for 2 years. After giving some things to Grandpa Sith, Ma Hongjun and Frand are ready to leave. At the entrance of Magia village, Ma Hongjun was somewhat moved. Are you considering leaving the beginner village? Don't say it, it's really like this. The Sith on the side was still earnestly teaching him. Hongjun, the people outside are not like those in our village. You should be careful when you go out. You must listen to Master Soul, remember. Ma Hongjun just felt incredibly heartwarming as he listened to these words. I know now, Grandpa Sith. I will definitely become a great soul master. If I have time, I will come back to see you, Ma Hongjun said directly. Sith also nodded with a smile. However, he still said, It seems that we are not in a hurry. Everything depends on your cultivation. Ma family village has been around for so many years, and you are the first soul master to go out. You must practice well and not let down the expectations of the soul master for you. Got it, Grandpa Sith, you go back. We're going to set off, said Ma Hongjun. Sith was also somewhat moved upon hearing this. After so many years in Magia village, he finally had his first soul master. He believes that Ma Hongjun will become the pride of the people of Magia village in the future. Ma Hongjun, who was walking out, remembered something and turned to say, Grandpa Sith, I have left something for you on my stove. You can take it when you go back later. Also, please help me say goodbye to Black Fat and the others. I understand, replied Sith with a smile. Then Ma Hongjun left without turning his head. Frand felt a little relieved upon seeing this, while Ma Hongjun was a kind-hearted existence. What did you leave for him? Asked Frand curiously. It's nothing, just some small things, Ma Hongjun also replied. He certainly wouldn't say that he left 100 gold soul coins for Grandpa Sith. As for more, Ma Hongjun will not stay because staying may bring danger. It is sometimes necessary to keep one's wealth hidden. Frand didn't ask any more questions upon hearing this. In his opinion, just a child, what good things can be left behind? Besides, even if he keeps something good, wouldn't a soul saint still covet that thing? Half a month later, Ma Hongjun and Frand stood in front of a college. But it's more like a small village than a college. Is this the college you told me about? Ma Hongjun looked at Frand with a skeptical expression, as if you were teasing me. Fred blushed. Then he said, "Kid, don't be so superficial, okay? Some things depend on the inside, the Shrek Academy you're seeing now. It's just its exterior, and the true goodness of the academy lies in its teachers." Ma Hongjun sneered at the words. Then he said, "Isn't it just poverty? They are all so tall and upscale as you say." Frand's face suddenly couldn't hang. "Kid, don't push yourself too far," said Frand. Ma Hongjun finally stopped making jokes. It's okay to joke appropriately, but if he goes too far, he may get beaten up. Seeing Ma Hongjun stop speaking, Frand's face showed a hint of a smile. He feels like he made a lot of money this time. In the past half-month, he has discovered Ma Hongjun's second martial soul. It turned out that Ma Hongjun was actually a twin martial soul, which made him extremely happy. Since then, he has been thinking of taking this kid as his disciple every day. Because he had an agreement with the master, which was who was better than his disciples. Isn't Ma Hongjun in front of me the right candidate to be a disciple? But this kid is like that thing in the pit, stinky and hard. Leng didn't worship him as his teacher, so he was a bit disappointed. It's also because of this that he has to endure this kid in every way possible. He didn't really get angry with the teasing like he did just now. But he also knew that there was no problem with this kid's character. However, he had silently planned in his heart. We must take Ma Hongjun as his disciple. However, we cannot act too hastily. Then he entered the college with Ma Hongjun. And Ma Hongjun followed behind him. Just as Ma Hongjun stepped into Shrek College, the sound of the system also sounded along with it. System. The host has been detected to have arrived at Shrek College. Do you want to sign in now? The sound of the system made Ma Hongjun's face show joy. Sign in, Ma Hongjun immediately said. Congratulations to the host for signing in at Shrek Academy, obtaining 1 magic source, 1 soul-enhancing herb, 1 soul bone from the right arm of the Millennium Fire Dragon, 1 soul ring from the 700-year powerful demon bear, and 1,500 gold soul coins. Upon hearing these rewards, Ma Hongjun was first ecstatic, and then showed a puzzled expression. What is the source of magic? Immediately, he directly called up the system and looked at the introduction of the magic source. Magic Fountain. A powerful source of magic, containing huge magic factors that can allow the host to obtain magic reserves and become the source of magic cultivation. Is this making me a magician? Ma Hongjun's face showed a smile, as if it was pretty good. The system is said to be powerful, so it must be very powerful. As for the extent of strength, it's not something Ma Hongjun can know. This should be used in conjunction with the second martial soul, Ma Hongjun thought. His second martial soul is a Kunarokia, also known as the Black Dragon, which requires magic to grow. The reason why the source of magic appears is probably because of this. As for the other reward, soul-boosting grass, Ma Hongjun has already thought of where to use it. As for soul bones, he needs to find a time to secretly refine again. If it's a soul ring, it's just enough for him to attach it. Just as Ma Hongjun was thinking about these things, the system sound rang out again. System. It has been detected that a month has passed and 1 check.in can be performed. May I ask if you are checking in now? Upon hearing this, Ma Hongjun was immediately taken aback. Today is a day of double happiness. Is this a monthly visa? Then Ma Hongjun immediately replied in his heart, sign in. Congratulations to the host for successfully signing in, obtaining 1-century-old soul ring, 500 gold soul coins, and 1 magic crystal. Ma Hongjun was immediately disappointed upon hearing this. It seems that there is a significant difference between monthly and location visas, as can be seen from the rewards. And the things obtained from the first check that IN are the best. But a little is better than nothing. Once a month, this way you can accumulate a lot of good things. System. Congratulations to the host for completing this check that IN. The new check that IN location has been refreshed. Please sign in at Notting College. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. You are shallow. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. You are shallow. But then he didn't bother about these anymore. Did he sign in at Notting College? I wonder if Tang San has arrived at Notting College at this moment. If not yet, cutting off the beard is not a bad idea. After all, raising a rabbit is also very good. Thinking of this, Ma Hongjun felt a little excited. In this anime, Little Rabbit had a good early stage, whether it was the scene or the battle, he was the main character, but in the later stage, he was definitely a tool man. Sacrificing the soul ring attracted the sacrifices of the Ming and Ming dynasties, and ultimately became the medium for Tang San to achieve the Shura God. A reliable tool person. So he didn't have any guilt in doing this, he was just trying to save the innocent girl. Thinking of this, Ma Hongjun felt a sense of mission. However, before that, you need to absorb the soul ring and temporarily settle down in Shrek. Also, we need to use the magic source first. What excites Ma Hongjun the most is the presence of soul-boosting grass. He seems to be able to see Big Sister Erin now. Soul-enhancing grass, as the name suggests, is a grass that increases soul power. The soul power here is not the soul power he cultivates, but the soul power. Isn't Sister Erin a residual soul? With this grass, it should be able to recover some. Ma Hongjun is looking forward to the strength of Sister Erin. With 1% of Eileen's strength, she can defeat a mage at the Holy 10 level who cannot find the north. In this situation, can Ma Hongjun not expect it? However, thinking of this, Ma Hongjun also frowned. Because it has been half a month, but his body's evil fire has not erupted. This made him doubt whether he had mutated wrong. If there really isn't any evil fire, it's actually a good thing, so he doesn't have to worry about exploding and dying. But things are probably not that simple. Ma Hongjun thought for a while but then stopped thinking. Because they have already arrived at the place. Kid, from now on, this will be your dormitory, said Frand. Although Ma Hongjun already knew that the conditions at Shrek College were not very good. But I didn't expect it to be so bad. The building in front of me is said to be a dormitory building, but it is actually a small wooden building. The lock on the door also has some rust. You don't even need to go in to know that it probably doesn't look very good inside. Dean, can't we study the college well? Ma Hongjun asked helplessly. Frand's face turned pale. You've been thinking about those vain things all day, shallow. Living in such a place can exercise your mind, so don't choose. Of course, there are still good places in the college, such as my lounge. If you agree to become my disciple, I'll give you my lounge to live in. How about that? I'll stay here, Frand suddenly said. Ma Hongjun suddenly became speechless. This guy is really persistent about accepting himself as his disciple. But on the other hand, I am definitely a persistent person. Frand is not Miss or Big Sister, and he still wants to take an apprentice. No way. So Ma Hongjun extended his hand directly. Frand felt somewhat puzzled upon seeing this. Give me the key, I'll stay here, Ma Hongjun said. Frand smiled awkwardly at the words. Well, I've been out for a while now, it seems like I don't have any keys, said Frand. Ma Hongjun suddenly became speechless. Then, in Frand's stunned eyes, he directly stepped forward and punched the lock. Perhaps due to awakening the black dragon martial soul, Ma Hongjun's physical strength has also increased significantly during this period. With the blessing of soul power, Ma Hongjun smashed open the rusty lock with just one punch. Then he opened the so-called dormitory door. Upon seeing it, Ma Hongjun did not expect it, and inside it was a mess. And Frand was somewhat surprised. Because the lock on the door just now, although rusted, is still intact. But Ma Hongjun smashed it with just one punch. This kind of physical strength is simply at the level of a little monster. This also strengthened his determination to take Ma Hongjun as his disciple. But at this moment, he also wants to meet Zhao Wuji and others. He has been traveling for several months now, so he should say hello when he comes back. So Frand said directly, "Kid, just tidy up here, and if you need anything, go buy it from the village next to the college. I've been out for several months now and I'm going to see others." "Got it." Ma Hongjun's impatient voice came from the wooden house. A bitter smile flashed on Frand's face. This kid. Immediately, he no longer cared about Ma Hongjun and turned around to leave. Ma Hongjun stayed inside the small wooden house and tidied up. There's no way, this is the room he will live in the future, so it must be cleaned up. It took almost an hour for Ma Hongjun to manage this dormitory in an orderly manner. It finally looks like a place to sleep. Ma Hongjun sighed. And at this moment, Frand's voice came from outside. "Ma Hongjun, come out and let me introduce you to other teachers in the college." Ma Hongjun, who was just about to get things done, was speechless. But thinking that Shrek College was probably the only student now, he didn't say much and immediately walked out of the room. Seeing Ma Hongjun come out, everyone cast curious glances. A little chubby guy, nothing special. A voice rang out. Ma Hongjun looked over. With a strong physique and antique bronze skin, but his height is indeed somewhat unsatisfactory, it should be the immovable Ming King Zhao Wuji. And Frand also began to introduce himself. "Red June, this is Vice Dean Zhao Wuji," Frand said directly. Subsequently, several other teachers from Shrek were also introduced. Li Yusong is also prominently listed. After the introduction, Frand's heart flashed with a hint of pride and he said, "They all have a minimum cultivation level of 50 or above. As a teacher, they are more than enough. Now you should see the strength of our Shrek Academy, right?" Ma Hongjun felt a bit speechless about Frand's words, but he did not refute them. As a 3-no college, if even the teachers are not good enough, what is the future of this college? In fact, the only commendable aspect of Shrek College is that the level of these teachers is decent. But in reality, Shrek College is not as excellent as Frand claims. Also, Frand's educational philosophy is very good, and the college that only accepts monsters is called Shrek. But since they are monsters, they can definitely grow to a certain extent, and the role of the academy is not very significant at this time. Just like the previous Shrek 7 monsters, it was not so much the earnest teachings of the academy as their own efforts to strive for excellence. Ma Hongjun has met all the teachers. Ma Hongjun also stepped forward and said, "It can be considered as a preliminary integration into this collective." But when Frand saw Ma Hongjun's polite appearance, he was somewhat speechless. This little guy seemed very rude to him, but then he didn't care anymore. He believed that this little guy would become his disciple in the future. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Absorb Millennium Soul Rings. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Absorb Millennium Soul Rings. Ma Hongjun's face suddenly froze. He didn't expect that the next location would be Nodding College. Is it time to meet the protagonist of this world? No, normally speaking, Ma Hongjun can also be considered the protagonist. And isn't Ma Hongjun just him? So, Ma Hongjun stayed temporarily in Shrek. This can be considered his second home in the future. In the evening, after they had dinner together, Ma Hongjun returned to the dormitory he had prepared. With excitement in his heart, Ma Hongjun closed the door of the dormitory directly. Then he sat on the bed. System, use the source of magic, Ma Hongjun said directly. System. Is the host sure to use the magic source? Sure, Ma Hongjun confirmed again. There was no sound from the system this time. And Ma Hongjun felt a new force forming in his body. I just felt this power. Ma Hongjun's face turned red because this force was too powerful. He felt like he was almost overwhelmed. This doesn't even count. When Ma Hongjun feels like he's about to burst, this force will contract and strengthen his body. It seems to be able to accurately determine Ma Hongjun's limits. In this way, over and over again, Ma Hongjun's physical strength skyrocketed. However, he was accompanied by unparalleled pain. Magic is like a knife, it needs to penetrate every part of his body. In this situation, the pain is naturally unbearable. So, Ma Hongjun shouted out directly because it was too painful. However, no sound was heard, indicating that the system had isolated the sound. Just like this, time passes by minute by second. After an hour, Ma Hongjun's cry weakened. After another hour, he finally opened his eyes. Ma Hongjun has completed the fusion of the source of magic. At the moment of completion, Ma Hongjun also took a deep breath and let out a comfortable moan. I can't help it, because it's really exciting. At this moment, the source of magic turned into a warm current, flowing throughout Ma Hongjun's body. It made him feel incredibly comfortable. At the same time, Ma Hongjun discovered a connection between the source of magic and his second martial soul. Subsequently, Ma Hongjun felt that his connection with the second martial soul seemed to be even closer. You should know that it was difficult to feel the second martial soul before. Ma Hongjun felt this. I also had a guess in my heart. It is estimated that this magic source can enhance his compatibility with the martial soul and enhance his martial soul. As for whether there are any other functions, Ma Hongjun currently cannot see them. Originally, after the fusion was completed, Ma Hongjun decided to use soul-boosting grass for Eileen. But now it's not possible, because what happened just now, Ma Hongjun's whole body is like being pulled out of the water. My whole body is covered in sweat stains. In this situation, he naturally needs to clean himself first. Wait until you have finished packing yourself. Ma Hongjun sat on the bed again. Immediately issued a command to the system. System, use soul-boosting grass to treat Eileen. System. Are you sure you want to use soul-boosting grass on Erin's residual soul? Ma Hongjun suppressed his excitement and said, use it. The sound of the system transmitted to Ma Hongjun's mind, saying, I have already used soul-boosting grass on AI Ling's residual soul. But the next moment, Ma Hongjun was disappointed. Because he didn't see his older sister Erin appear. So he went directly to ask the system. What's wrong with the system? Is the soul-boosting grass useless or its effect too weak? Ma Hongjun asked directly. I thought the system would still not answer him like before, but this time it did. The effect of soul-boosting grass is gradual. When Eileen's residual soul is summoned, she falls into a deep sleep, and recovery takes some time. Moreover, with the effect of soul-boosting grass, it is impossible to directly recover. The system's explanation is simple and clear. The first is that the medicinal properties of the soul-enhancing herb are not enough, and the second is that Eileen's residual soul damage is too severe. However, Ma Hongjun also thought of something. Erin once used an attachment technique to attach her complete personality to Wendy. Actually, Wendy's body is just a consciousness. It's not Eileen's true soul at all, and Eileen's true soul has dissipated. Thinking of this, Ma Hongjun also understood. If it is really a multiple infinite universe, it means that there may still be an Eileen on Wendy's body in the fairy's tale now. And her own is the true Eileen. Just Ma Hongjun is a bit disappointed. Because Eileen's older sister still hasn't woken up and hasn't appeared. A great hope brings the greatest disappointment. Adding to the fact that the previous fusion magic source consumed his mental energy, Ma Hongjun now feels particularly tired. However, when tired, the soul ring still needs to be absorbed. After half a month of cultivation, his soul power has already reached level 10. Although the original soul power may have been absorbed by Sister Irene. But Ma Hongjun is very happy. Subsequently, he directly took out the Millennium Dragon Soul Ring from the system space. If I guess correctly, the system means to let the second martial soul, Black Dragon Martial Soul, absorb this Millennium Soul Ring. After all, they are all dragons. Although the first millennium is quite exaggerated in this world. But Ma Hongjun still wants to try. Because his physical strength has been strengthened once again. And after the cultivation in front of the magic just now, he felt that his spiritual power had also improved a lot. Because in the tale of a fairy, the strength of magic is actually directly related to the spiritual strength of the magician. He skipped spiritual meditation and directly gained the source of magic. That powerful magic will feed back his spiritual power. So at this moment, his mental strength is also very high. That's also why he had to use the magic source first before preparing to use the soul ring. Subsequently, he directly took out the soul ring light ball. As soon as the light ball appeared, it transformed into a purple soul ring. Ma Hongjun took a deep breath. Follow the method taught by Frand. Hold your breath and start using soul power to pull this soul ring. The soul ring entered the body, and Ma Hongjun immediately felt a powerful force attacking. However, compared to the power impact before the magic source, this pain is simply not worth mentioning. And Ma Hongjun also felt the pressure on his mental state. It's not that difficult to accept either. So, Ma Hongjun began his first soul ring absorption. Due to both mental and physical strength, it can withstand. Ma Hongjun's absorption went exceptionally smoothly. Half an hour later, Ma Hongjun opened his eyes with a happy expression on his face. Because he has already absorbed the first soul ring, as it is a Millennium Soul Ring, his soul power level has reached level 13. And his first soul skill is also in his speculation. The first soul skill of the Millennium Dragon Soul Ring is the Black Dragon's Hook Claw. When launched, his right hand will form a dragon claw and carry out a tearing attack on the enemy. End of this chapter.